This is the stuff I'm supposed to say, and it's if you like what you see, please subscribe, comment below, and like, and share it. That's like the fun stuff. So again, I am Rosa, and we're going to dive into the psychology of scripts, which is a classroom full of hungry real estate agents, and we're going to talk about whatever they want to talk about as far as why we say what we say so that we can convert at a higher clip. So let's fire away. What do you want to talk about? Okay. So how did we get here? So what was the behavior like? So what does can we Airbnb these properties mean? Awesome. So let's just stay there for a second. Whether this worked out or doesn't work out with this particular lead, the moment somebody says, we're thinking of Airbnb, we want an investment property in general, take your mindset away from selling them anything and move it immediately to, I'm going to qualify them to see if I even want to work with them. And that's where the entire conversation needs to be. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I don't even want to show you a property. I just want to have a conversation with you about what does Airbnb mean to you? What does your current portfolio look like? What is your experience in investing in real estate? How long have you been wanting to own an Airbnb? Who do you know that owns an Airbnb? What has their experience been? See, because Airbnb is like this fancy word that's just thrown around right now. And all Airbnb means is I want to be a real estate investor. It's not I want to rent it out and when I'm here I want to stay. That's all blah, 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 blah. That's all that means. It's I want to be a real estate investor. So our hat immediately has to go to, let's have some real estate investing conversations, because I'll speak for me. Just in my business, I don't work with investors. I don't. Why? Because I don't like investors. I like working with people who want to buy and own real estate for themselves, for the pride of ownership. Not someone who looks at the house and says, oh, well, you know what? I'm not going to make $200. I'm going to make $175. I'm out. Or what is this going to appreciate per year? What? I don't have a crystal ball. I'm sorry. I don't know what it's going to appreciate. What I do know is real estate in Miami hit the bottom in 2009. So 2009 to 2019 to 2024, it has been a rocket ship. I do know that everything that goes up goes down, and everything that goes down goes up. And so if I was a betting person, which I am, and we've been in a bull market for 25 years, and you're an investor who's asking me about equity return, probably not a good idea to buy real estate right now if that's the only reason that you're buying. If that's the only reason. But of course, as an investor, that's not the only reason. You do it for cash flow, and you do it for tax reasons, and you do it for which is why that becomes the conversation. Not, I want to go show you property. Does this make sense? I kind of went all over the place on that, but I wanted you guys to see that's the conversation. That is the conversation. It's simply not, let me go show you property. Hey, you're in town, let me sell you an Airbnb. It's sell me on why I should even continue to have a conversation with you. Because I'm a professional real estate agent, and there are thousands of transactions. There are thousands of transactions that happen every month. Thousands that happen every month. And this is a person who is in town for a period of time, and they have this criteria. I don't know that I'm the best person for you. So let me make sure that I'm the right person or I'm not the right person. So let's have this conversation. And that's how I would pivot there, or would have possibly pivoted in the limited information that you gave me. Does that make sense? Does this make sense, guys? So what did y'all take away on that? Like, just give me 3 kind of things that you guys took away from that. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just curious, because I'd rather ask you 500 questions and show you the 5 very best homes than not ask you any questions and you feel the need to see 500 homes. Right.
Possibility.
So let me stack on that. Spot on. So think of going to your doctor, and you're like, hey doc, I wake up at night and my heart's palpitating and sometimes I just wake up sweaty and I'm not really sure what's going on. Your doctor isn't going to say, go take some aspirin and go home. They're going to say, hey, you should go see a specialist, which is exactly what I just said is, hey, I might not be the Airbnb expert for you, but let me ask you some questions versus going to go look at some homes right away. That's malpractice. I'm not saying that's what you did. I'm saying malpractice is let's go look at homes and then try to sell you something that you don't even know what you're trying to buy by asking more questions and connecting them. For sure. So when somebody says I'm an investor, I like using this word just to see how they respond based on their tonality. What am I going to say? What's the return? But I like using the term, so what cap rate are you looking for? What's the cap rate? And they're like, what, a hat? Like what, no lie? No, I'm talking about the rate of return. Oh, wait, what does that really mean? So we're a speculator. We're not necessarily a real estate investor. See where I'm going with this? Everything is a dialogue. Everything is a preparation. And so another way of looking at this is, so if they ask you a question or they make a statement, hey, I want to do this. I want you guys to think that there could be 3-4 different questions that you can ask immediately from whatever their question is. And then they say this. Well, then there's about another 3 or 4 questions you can ask from there to get clarity. And then maybe they say this, and then everything works in a flowchart. In the moment you can start to think like this, the farther you'll go with anybody. Versus they give you a question, you're like, oh, I'm the all-knowing, I got the answer. No, that's not sales. That's not the psychology of scripts. It's simply they have a question, you then ask a question. Then they give you an answer, then you ask your next question. Then they could give you any one of these answers, then you ask the next question. And think in flowchart. If they say this, you say this. If they say this, you say this. If they say this, you say this. And then you ask these questions. Then they respond. And then you go here. That right there is how to work with anybody. It's also how to work with anybody, and you don't need to know anything. You just need to know how to ask questions and then know where to lead them. In other words, be the source of a source. That's the key to successfully selling real estate, no matter the market. Know what questions to ask, be curious, and be the source of the source. Hey, is this a good neighborhood? Question. Well, what's a good neighborhood mean to you? Well, I like this, this, and this. Have you ever lived in a neighborhood like that here in South Florida? What did it look like? What did it feel like? Where was it? It was this, this, and this. Okay? If I was to connect with you on a website that would explain the schools in that area, would that be a value? Yeah, that would be a value. Awesome. Let me get you the website, and then we can bounce off. So any property that we look at, we could plug into the website and you can see what the schools are. I didn't make a single statement of that very tricky question of, how's this neighborhood? Is this a good neighborhood? I want a nice neighborhood. 100%. Have you, where in South Florida, absolutely, where in South Florida have you seen a nice neighborhood? Describe to me in South Florida what a nice neighborhood means to you. Let's define nice. Let's get very clear on what that means. That's the key to longevity in this business. That right there, guys. It's our conversation we had earlier today. The term that Larry elegantly explained is called qualification. And qualifying is a group of questions to help navigate your business. We're not the public library. We are for profit, yes or yes? Yeah. And so time is money, and there's only a finite amount of time. Some of us take it for granted, but there's only a finite period of time that we have. When we have family, we have even less finite. If we're single, we have more time. But Larry nailed it, which is simply, we're always qualifying whoever it is that's wanting to do business to make sure, and the more experience you have, the more sixth sense you will have on this, on whether or not they're kicking tires or they're truly have a high level of desire to do business. And you'll learn this the more you fail, as long as you look at that as, what's my learning lesson? What's the opportunity in this shitstorm that I just found myself in? And then you just grow and you learn, and then you start to connect the dots. You're like, hold on, they said that. That other person said that. Let me ask different questions so that I can get a different outcome. And if you look at every scenario exactly how Larry just pointed out, nothing happens to you. Everything happens for you. That's one way to look at it. Yeah. Always be. It's a hard word, right? It's a rigid word, but for someone who has a lot of experience, it's fair. Absolutely. And you learn realistic, you learn what realistic is when you fail. Yeah. Go ahead. How do I win with you? Let's just put, hey, you're in town for a week. How do I win with you? What does your week look like? How does real estate fit into your plans this week? If this week was a huge success, what would it look like? What would be a small step in the right direction this week for you? I just came up with 6 questions to get clarity in how intense I should be this week, like Larry pointed out. Because there's been many times in my career, more than I'd like to admit, that I dropped everything I was doing, broke my schedule to work with someone who said, I'm here for 5 days, and they never bought. I looked at really nice places, but they never bought. And they talked a really good game. A really good game. I would not break my schedule. I would still lead generate in the morning, and I would tell them, hey, this is what my week looks like. I got you from 2 to 5, and this is what we can do. Or you just don't do that. And that's just not like how I feel about investors. You just don't try to hit home runs with people who come into town. Unless you have a 3, 4, 5-month relationship and you have done consultations with them and they are absolutely poised, are full of information, they are comfortable in all of the variables, and they are coming to buy real estate. Versus the person that calls you and say, hey, I'm in town for 5 days, I don't want to do a consultation, I want to see these 6 properties. Right, that's the what she just described is the absolute kiss of death. Client that sends properties to you, I want to see these properties. We didn't do a consult. We didn't do a needs analysis. We didn't discuss pros and cons. We're just trying to hit a home run. Oh, we want to see these properties. We're only in town for a couple days. We want to look at 10 properties. And you break all the rules. Because the rule is 5 to 6 properties max every showing. Now, there is a caveat. I could show 8 if the vast majority of them are in a building, like a vertical. Because now you're not getting a car. Because the truth is, each showing is about 30 minutes. Get in your car, drive with lights, parking, opening the lockbox, having conversations about the property. Each house is about 30 minutes. So if you're looking at 6 houses, that's 3 hours. You show 8 houses, you're at 4 hours. They don't remember shit that you showed them at the beginning. And during the summer, everyone's tired, everyone's dripping in sweat, it's uncomfortable. No one's ready to write an offer. So if they're like, I want to see 10 properties, no, you don't. You're telling me you do, but you don't. May I explain? May I explain? And then you break it down and say, hey, look, each property's 30 minutes. That would be a 5-hour appointment. And I don't know about you, but that sounds like torture. Yet what we can do is look at 10 properties over a couple days, or we could take the 10 properties, spend about 45 minutes together on Zoom while you're at your hotel, or you can meet me in my office. And what we can do is break down each one of those properties, see if all 10 truly match your criteria. If they do, awesome. We might be able to find another 2 or 3 that exceed your expectations. And then over 2 days, we could look at 14 properties. And you now are comfortable and you're confident that what you're looking at is the very best. So now I want to look at 10 properties to we got 14 properties over 2 days. That we discussed the pros and cons. We did a needs analysis and all of this because I grabbed control of what they wanted to do because I know nobody in their right mind wants to look at 10 properties. But that's the key word. You follow a schedule and you are highly disciplined. You guys don't need to raise your hands because I'm going to ask the question and you could answer it inside your soul. Do you plan your Sunday and go, Monday, this is what my day looks like from the moment I wake up till the time I make dinner? Tuesday, what I do from the moment I wake up in your business to the time you go to dinner. Most real estate agents don't live by a schedule. You see, they get into this business for the freedom and flexibility, and they fail for the exact same reasons because they don't have the discipline of a schedule and run their business like a CEO. You lead generate so you do not have to tolerate. And back to Larry's, he has a very clear schedule in what his priorities are that are foundationally duplicatable to run a successful business year after year after year. And just because somebody wants to do something in real estate, that doesn't mean that he gets off of his schedule, because over time, staying disciplined pays dividends. There's a term called Pop-Tart agent. And a Pop-Tart agent is just that. They're sitting down, all of a sudden someone says, I want to look at 10 properties, and what happens to a Pop-Tart in the toaster? Pop, oh, let me go. And they go running. Yeah, and then that strikes out, and now they're at 0. All sales start with this word, motivation. All sales start with motivation. Our job is to help people achieve their goals. If we help enough people get what they want, we get what we want. With that being said, there's only one reason why something doesn't sell. It's not marketing, it's not location, it's price. That's it. Because at the right price, anyone will buy it. I mean, just look at what Goodwill is. Goodwill is a bunch of people's giveaways that they then turn around and they put it at a very reasonable price. You go in there and they'll sell it. But if something has been in there for 2 years, what are they going to do? Drop the price. Discount. Change the color of the sticker. If you don't go to Goodwill, you have no idea what I'm talking about. If you go to Goodwill, you're like, ha, he goes to Goodwill. I love going to Goodwill. It's like going to the library. You never know what you're going to get. It's the possibilities. It is endless possibilities. So I had this conversation with a couple clients yesterday, and it goes like this. In our board, Miami Board of Realtors, there are around 60,000 agents. And so the question that I asked my client was, if I have a listing, how can any of those guys get paid on my listing? They have to have what? They have to have a buyer, okay? Now, the only way that they're going to get paid theoretically is if they have a buyer. Again, we could get smart and say, oh no, well they can have a listing and they can, just stay with me. I have a listing, and the only way that listing sells is if I have a buyer or if one of the board of realtors has a buyer. Well, if a property is on the market for 2 weeks and we have 0 requests to show the property, these people aren't out to get you. They're not going, I don't like that person, I don't want to show that. The answer is they don't have a buyer that's interested in your property. Nobody's boycotting you. Let's lower the ego a little bit. No one's saying, oh, because it's their property, I'm not going to. That's not the way this goes. So if we're now at 4 weeks and we still have no showings, and we happen to then have one showing, this buyer who is interested in our property has all of the control. All of the control. Because they know that the property's been on the market for a month. They know that there's other properties that are available in today's market. I'm speaking in today's market where inventory is growing, month supply of inventory is growing, absorption rate is shrinking. And these are the 2 statistics that we absolutely have to know and understand, which is absorption rate and month supply of inventory. So we provide the month supply of inventory and absorption rate monthly and quarterly for our agents. And on an area here outside of our office, there's a wonderful beach community called Sunny Isles. And it is a luxurious, high-end, vertical community, city with thousands of doors, all luxury. And the month supply of inventory there is anywhere between 20 and 35. On the low end, it's about 20 months. On the high end, it's about 35 months. Which means that if no other homes come on the market, it will right now take about 20 months to sell what is currently on the market at the pace at which the properties are coming off the market, if no other homes come on the market. Well, a balanced market is 5.5 months, which means prices aren't going up, they're not going down, they're balanced. It means that if a unit comes on the market at $500,000, it might sell for $505, it might sell for $495. It's not going up or down, it's kind of right there. The farther away we are at 6 months, the more intense the market. So the farther away up from 5.5 months, we're in a buyer's market. So the farther away, the stronger the buyer's market, where the buyer has the control. They dictate because there's more inventory than what is being absorbed. There's more inventory than what's being absorbed. And so it's kind of like jumping in the water with a boat and the boat's not anchored, or the boat is anchored and there's a current and you're just drifting away from the boat, but you're swimming, but you're still drifting away from the boat. That's what this is like. Because there are more properties coming on the market than what is being absorbed, so the month supply of inventory is continuing to grow. It's like a grandfather clock that sways and then sways. Does that make sense? Like a pendulum. Pendulum doesn't go like this. Pendulum goes like this. So once it starts moving in a direction, it's not going to go back the other way until it goes all the way through. And so if we're at 20 months of inventory and we know a balanced market is 5.5 or 6, We're at 14 months of excess inventory just to get to balanced. Balanced doesn't mean values going up. Balanced doesn't mean values going up. Balanced means balanced. So if we have 14 months of excess inventory and we're on the market for 2 weeks, 4 weeks with no showings, the market has told us that we are out of the market. Because the key here is going to be how many homes sold last month that are comparable to our listing. How many homes actually sold? Because there are homes that sell, no matter the market. There just won't be as many in this type of market. So then we have to research, okay, well, what sold? And how do we become the next one that sells? And it's not more marketing. So let me be clear. This is where I wanted to go with this. Marketing's job in real estate is to generate leads. The multiple listings job is to allow as many eyeballs as possible whose only job or the only way that they generate income is to sell the properties on the MLS. The property will sell itself because that's the only way these guys get paid. So if for 4 weeks we have no action, we know our inventory is at 20%. It's not run another ad. It's meet the market's expectations. And that's the word, that's the phrase. We must adjust the price to meet the market's expectations. And we meet the market's expectations by getting in the next tier of buyer. The next tier. Not if we're at 500, drop to 490. A buyer of 490 is going to make an offer or at least look at your home at 500. But if we go to 450, all the people at 475 who are thinking of our property at 5 are now like, whoa, that's awesome. All the people at 460, 465 are like, whoa, hold on a second. And now all the people at 440, 445 going, whoa, that's some value. And so if we now have 5 parties that are interested in our listing, if we have 5 people interested, how many can actually close on the property? Just 1. Which means we created now an auction effect. Which over here we were begging, pleading. The buyer was in control. They back out they found a mosquito on the ledge. I'm out. There's a stain in the roof. It's dry, but there's a stain. I'm out. They drive a Kia next door. I'm out. Not kidding. But if we have 5 people, we get to be a professional real estate agent. And that is someone who negotiates terms. Because amateurs focus on price. Professionals focus on terms and help the seller achieve their goal of keeping the deal together, dictating what we really want out of the transaction, and get to the finish line, which is all that really matters. And so, long answer to what you pointed out, which is you cannot have a price adjustment conversation if we do not know month supply of inventory and absorption rate. You just can't. It's an emotional conversation. I know you don't drop the price. Who are you? I'm a real estate agent. I don't care. I'm not dropping the price. Versus, hey, let's review exactly what's going on in the market. There are 2 terms that we study. One is called month supply of inventory, and the other is absorption rate. Let me go through these with you right now. I always shoot for 10%. The market will always react. See,
every month,
every 2 to 3 weeks. Every 2 to 3 weeks. Every 2 to 3 weeks. Now why? Because a buyer usually asks 2 questions. What's the price? And how long has it been on the market? And if a property's been on the market for a month, they're not offering list price anyway. So you're getting ahead of the problem before it exists, which is lowball offers. And again, you want multiple offers. That's our job as real estate agents, so you can do your job. See, if you've been in the business 4 years, you went through one of the hardest times in real estate when representing buyers, because there were multiple offers on everything. Price didn't even matter. You can overprice something and it got 43 offers in an hour. Now you overprice something, it's never going to sell if it's overpriced. And here's why. I'll give you the visual. So if the market is here and the seller wants to list here, you with me? All right, 2 weeks goes by, the market's here, and the seller says, all right, I'll drop my price. 2 weeks goes by, market's here, seller says, I'll adjust my price. The market is here, and they're chasing the market. And that's why we don't take 2, 5, 1, 2, 3% adjustments. You do 10% adjustments so you can get ahead of the market and then allow the market to respond. Because the market will always react, because there's 60,000 agents that the only way they get paid is if they sell your property. So they're going to show your property if they have a client interested. If you have no showings, the market is screaming you're overpriced. That's it. It's just, if you remove all of the emotion and you just stay in logic about this, there's fight me on that. Like, why wouldn't an agent show your property if the only way they get paid is to show your property? It's because they don't have anyone to show your property. So you're telling me 60,000 agents have 0 people interested in your property? That's exactly what I'm telling you. Wait, but did property sell while you were listed? Yeah, at what price? Oh my God, we should probably go to that price. Which is why in a declining market, you price off of the lowest actives, not the lowest solds or the highest solds. You price off of the actives, so you're the next one that sells. You're not in the top 5 or 6. No, you have to be the lowest active so that the market provides you with the buying inventory, not going to look at the other units and pray that they see your value. Does this make sense? Yes. And that's how you sell in this market. And you get really good at these conversations, because this conversation that we had today is the conversation. It's the PhD in how to communicate with home sellers today to not chase the market. And I'll end on this, and then we'll switch to ahas. 6 out of 10, 60%, or 6 out of 10. Condos in South Florida do not sell. They are expired. They were listed with a real estate agent. They had all the intentions. They paid for beautiful pictures. They paid for valet. They went, maybe even showed the property, and they expire. The market is adjusting because of this statistic here. If you know the month supply of inventory is higher than 6%, price is the only issue. Because the inventory is now growing. And the only way to not be a victim of that is to be the only one that sells, because the reason month supply of inventory is growing is because less and less and less of the inventory, the same amount of units might be selling, the same amount of units still might be selling, but more inventory is coming on the market. And so you have to be the few that are ahead of the market. And the only way you get ahead of the market is price. That's PhD in how to make as much money as you desire in real estate and help as many sellers navigate. They may think you're here to hurt them. They may think, oh, you just want a quick sale. But let's look at it another way. If a doctor deems that you have blood clots, God forbid, in your legs or your arms, and the only way for your life to continue is to... Are you blaming the surgeon for the amount of money they make because they're saving your life? This is just like that. Nobody wants you to go from 500,000 to 450. That's not my goal, is to take $50,000 of your equity away. My job is to protect your equity, because I am the messenger of the market. And the market is telling us that we have to be in the lowest value, features and benefits at the lowest price, to be the only ones that sell when inventory is going from 20 to 23 to 25 to 30, which is what all signs are pointing towards in Sunny Isles, in Brickell, in older units in Aventura. I'm the messenger of the market. Don't shoot the messenger. I study homes and prices every day, and I study what's going on, and you're hiring me because of my ability to navigate and help you, motivation, move to so that you could blank. Right now, that sounds super intense at a level of you don't know what you don't know because you don't know. It's a fair question. It's a fair energy. Think of Back to the Future, when Marty McFly had the almanac of the future, and he went back in time and he could say what was going to happen in the baseball game. You have two choices right now. One is to sit on the sidelines and observe and say, hey, this market's tough. Or we can put on our work boots, put on our belt, and say, this is how I'm going to represent my clients. Let's go 3, 4, 5 years from now, look back and see who was right. The person who said, oh, real estate, this was a $10 million listing. No one's ever going to buy this unit for less than $10 million, and watch the units expire. Or be the one that helps sellers navigate this market. They're going to want to go see it. Right? So let me say this differently. Has anyone ever bought Allbirds before? No? The greatest shoe ever in existence. I have 8 pairs of the exact same shoe, just all different colors. It is the most comfortable shoe ever in existence. Each shoe is over $100. Black Friday, they dropped everything to $65. I bought another 2 colors. My wife is going to absolutely kill me when she sees the boxes show up, because every time they show it, she's like, you have a problem. And I do, because I've never worn as comfortable shoes, except for these Cole Haans, as dress shoes. These are like sneakers. Hands down. So when I see, oh shit, the $115 shoe is $68, I buy it. So how does it look? It looks like you're going to make money. Because when someone says, hey, will you list my property? No, I will sell your property. That's the attitude. You're not hiring me to list your property. You're hiring me to sell your home so that you can reinvest in the stock market. You can buy more crypto. You can... Motivation. That was awesome.